Today I want to talk a little bit about the three different sorts of games that I kind of have found to exist. First, there's the perfect in theory, but not really all that fun in practice games. And as an example of what I'm talking about, I'm going to just call out Genshin Impact as an example of this. It's a game I initially started playing when it came out, and I enjoyed the game. I thought it was really beautiful. It's an amazing game. I love the open world. I love the combat. I love the story to a point. I love the cute anime characters. It's all just a really nice experience. And yet the truth is, what I find now is that I don't really want to log into the game. I don't really want to play it. And that's because the dailies are boring and repetitive. It's because quite often the fights wind up being just a bit difficult to progress through the story in some cases, or the puzzles are a little bit challenging. Whatever it is, it doesn't really feel like fun when I log into that game. And some of that might just be that what was a fun game 2 years ago is no longer a game I want to be playing because I kind of got my value out of it at this point. Whatever it is, though, I think we all can relate to this concept of a game that you really want to love, and it's a great game. But whether it's something to do with the way it's designed, or maybe just something to do with the fact that we don't see it the same way anymore, it's just not really all that fun in practice. And the takeaway there is I really don't think that you should be returning to something that's not fun just because you feel like you're invested in it. There's a theme song for League of Legends, and it says, its lyrics say, legends never die, they become a part of us. And that's really true. You can enjoy a game, you can enjoy something about it, and then you can move on. You don't have to keep on playing something that you're not really having fun with. You really shouldn't. If you're enjoying it, then you should log on and enjoy it by all means. But if you are at that point where you're kind of reminding yourself, oh yeah, I kind of have this daily grind I do, I should go do that. Well, a game is not a job. You don't need to do that. Then in the next category, there's games I guess I would say are awesome but complicated. And in this category, I'm going to put titles like Cities Skylines. That's a really good example. For somebody who grew up loving the SimCity franchise, Cities Skylines is about the closest you can get in modern gaming to city builder perfection. And over the years, the way I've played that game is by getting into the modding community and downloading more and more extra content for the game, and starting to try to build realistic city models, and just kind of I guess playing that game kind of like a digital version of maybe a model railway layout you would have in your garage. It's cool because you can do just about anything you can imagine in that game. And yet, as a result of the complexity in the game, it winds up being more of a hobby than a relaxing form of entertainment. And that's totally fine. I do intend to keep playing that game. Every time there's new content for it, I will download the content. I will continue to come back to it. I have my long-term projects saved there, which I do intend to finish. But it's also not a game that I'm going to put on my list to install, to load up and play every single day. It's not a daily login kind of a game. It's one of those things where maybe on a weekend, if I have time, then I will load it up and spend some dedicated time working on my project there. But I'm not going to play it the way, for example, I play Albion Online, where it's just a daily thing. I get up and I'm going to want to log into the game and just do my thing for a little bit. Which leads me to the final category of game, which this video is about, and that is the low-key, everyday kind of a game that just clicks with you. It's not necessarily the most complicated one, and it's not necessarily the one that you would initially think is the best, but it's one that's approachable, it's accessible, it fits in with your daily life well, it doesn't impose on your time, and all in all, it's just a easy to digest experience that adds value without being too heavy or imposing. And that's kind of a rare thing, because typically most games fall into one of those other two categories that I was talking about. It's either a good game, but it's kind of complicated, or it's a game you want to love, but it's not really as much fun as you like to imagine it should be. To me, finding something that's a lightweight client is great. Finding something that doesn't take a lot of time to load up, something that's just really easy to jump in and jump out of, is great. Something that you can kind of do other things on the side with too. Like with Albion, if I want to watch a video on the side, I can super easily do that. If I wanted to talk to somebody in real life while I'm playing, super easy to do that. And those are also a major draw, because maybe I don't want to just play a game and be 100% immersed in it. I want to spark my imagination a little bit by playing the game, but I don't want to be cut off from other things that are going on. If somebody calls me on the phone, I want to be able to pick it up and answer. If somebody's in the room talking to me, I want to be able to have that conversation. So to me, Albion Online is great. I actually enjoy Theo Town for the same reason, because it's a very lightweight client. It does not take a lot of time to load. It's not something that requires a lot of thought. It's just to sit down and click the button and play the game however you want for a little while. And with these, it does not matter. If I want to play for an hour a day, if I want to play for 6 hours a day, if I want to skip a day and not play at all, there's never that sense of missing out. And I think it's great to find some of those things. It's just it's a nice way to relax. And then while I'm at it, I guess I'll talk about one other category of games, which is probably relevant, and that is like a lot of console games are this way, but they're games that just don't have any real sense of value other than just being a once-off, crowd-pleasing experience, where people just sit down in front of their video game console, they turn it on, they play some game. It's not really like it's a hobby. It's not really something that they take seriously in any way whatsoever. It's just something that they're doing to purely kill time. And I don't like those games. I don't really care a lot for racing games and for first-person shooting games and for arcade games and for stuff that doesn't feel like it has any substance other than just being something you're doing because you want to have a time killer. I think if you just are trying to kill time and you don't actually enjoy the experience, you're missing out. You really should do things you enjoy. And I also really am a fan of the concept of an ongoing, persistent experience. Not something where you just play it for a little bit and then you put it down and you don't really care if you ever play it again. It's just kind of, I guess, a game that you would approach the same way as going to a movie theater. You're going to just go eat your popcorn, watch whatever's on, and then forget you ever did it. I like there to be a little bit more continuity to the experience, to where you can say, you know, I'm kind of invested in this. I'm looking at this thing I'm doing a little bit more like a hobby. I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to continue to learn more about it. I'm going to be curious about it on an ongoing basis. Not just that you are playing a random game for the sake of doing something mind-numbing. Now, that does not mean that a game should be elevated to the level of religion, and I know I've seen some people that do this, where they are so into some particular experience that it almost feels like they're taking it way too seriously. And that's not appealing at all either. So I think there's something to be said for, I guess, a serious casual attitude towards something like playing games. You can take it seriously, you can have an active interest, and you can also be casual about it in the sense that, you know, it's just a game. It's not like it's important, but it's also relevant. Imagine if you were going to build a model railroad in your garage. You go out there and you think you're going to just spend, you know, 15 minutes and you're going to have a cool model railroad. Well, I don't know. Maybe if you got one of those little oval shaped layouts and you just like click it together and you plug it in and set it there, then maybe you could get a kit and open it up real quick. But you're not going to get those amazing things that some of these guys build after years and years of effort and continuing to be invested in it, or model airplanes, or really anything. So when you get into hobbies, and gaming is no different, you should be invested enough in it that you are able to get some result out of the experience beyond just saying you killed some time. But you also don't want to be so invested in it that you start to act like a game is something more than just a game. So, in closing, if you're not having fun with something, don't do it. If something is mentally draining and time consuming and it's not just purely enjoyable, then maybe you don't want to play it every day. I think it's good to find something that respects your time and is not too labor intensive to participate in, and make that your daily thing. And finally, just be a bit invested in the things you're doing so that it feels like you have a true sense of progression and a true sense of investment. And take it a bit seriously. But also, don't lose that casual approach to where you don't understand that a game is just a game. And that kind of covers, I think, the point I was trying to make there about, I guess, different sorts of games and the roles they play in our lives. So, thank you. Have fun.